What does it mean to get the back?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, a conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. It gives me great pleasure in presenting our guest today, someone that I've known for many years, played together, and been a good friend, big brother, sort of, to me musically. He's a guitarist, composer, arranger, educator. Please join me in welcoming to Sounds of the Diaspora, the one and only Mr. Bobby Broom.
What's up, man?
Broom, what's going on?
Everything's good. Everything is good. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
How's things in Chicago?
Everything's all right. It's still around 50 degrees, so that's good.
Okay.
November. Yeah.
I know you're super busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. But our guests are interested in, finding out the story behind Bobby Broom. How did you become a guitar player? How did that happen? You have your own unique thing happening, but there's a story there. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I started playing at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to pinpoint if there was an event, did I see something on television? Did I hear some music that day before? So I woke up one day and it was a burning desire to get a guitar.
Okay.
And so, it was like I woke up with this thing and I went to my dad, can you get me a guitar? I want to learn how to play guitar. And I've tried to remember, did I see something? Did I hear something that gave me that feeling? And I can't recall if it was any one thing, but I know it was like real strong calling. And I just thought, I just want to play, strum and sing and whatever. So which I did learn how to, just play folk guitar for the first year. And then somebody introduced my dad to a teacher that played jazz, and it just went from there. So about 13, I worked with him for a couple of years, and the rest, as they say, is history.
But all of this happened in New York.
Oh yeah. I was born in Harlem.
Right.
Born in Harlem, and stayed there for the first 6 or 7. I think we moved when I was 8. And we moved to the Upper West Side. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up there, and started my career eventually there in New York.
And going to school, you went to LaGuardia High School?
I went to LaGuardia, known then as Music and Art. Yep, mm-hmm. The one up on the hill. Yeah. And a lot
of great musicians came out of that school.
So many. So when I was there, it was the tail end of Marcus Miller and Omar Hakim. Mm-hmm. Steve Jordan, I think, had just left. Clifton Anderson. I'm missing people, and then when I was
was before you, Buddy Williams.
Buddy was before me. He was a few years before me.
Was Akua Dixon there? She was there also, right? Akua Dixon.
I remember her. I know her name, but I don't know. I don't remember her from there. I remember her name from New York.
Okay.
But I don't know if she was at M&A at that time. Okay. But I was there. Bob Franciscini was there. Terry Burris, the piano player. Kenny Washington was still there. Okay. It was great place
to be there, man. It's like, as not being a New Yorker, coming to New York, you hear all of these stories of just like how, flourishing that environment was. So you're a product of that environment. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it
always,
was a
I always
great.
looked at you, Broom, as like a Chicago cat. That's
Yeah, well, I've been here for 40, but 40 something years, 40 years.
yeah.
So, that's a long time. But yeah, no, my roots are deep in New York, and just what that was at the time, it's very different. But like you said, just really fertile. And man, I learned so much just being around these people,
Mhm.
like-minded people. And I was always the saddest one, so it was always like I was just happy to be in the room with these folks. I was just happy to be there. I would learn. Yeah, yeah. They're like, man, they would say, "What are you talking about, man? Shut up, man."
Oh,
I
that's
really
funny
felt.
to hear you say that. Knowing who you are.
That's how I really felt.
Not to change the subject, but I just got to say, it reminded me of a presentation I was at today where a journalist got up and they asked the journalist, like, how did you become a journalist? And they started talking about the same thing you're doing, talking about their upbringing. And they say the most remarkable thing was I failed English in high school.
Yeah,
It's like, well, here I am, like a major journalist.
yeah, yeah,
And they went to college and studied English. So
yeah,
it's funny you say, yeah, I was not the best one, and then like you're Bobby Broom.
yeah. Hey, and I don't know how that happened, but that's okay.
You gotta laugh, man. You gotta have fun doing
Oh
this.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things that I always admire from the time I met you, and I got to thank our good friend Ron Blake for that introduction,
Mhm.
is that you've always had your own sound, and you know who were your influences, because that I think that tells a lot about
Yeah.
your sound and the kind of presentation you do, because you're deep in that Chicago tradition with the organ and all of that, but you have another thing on the guitar that's different from everyone. You want to talk about that?
Well, the guitar in jazz specifically is, I think it has a clear lineage, and I'm talking about like before it went into the offshoots, and stylistically and sonically, because guitar is kind of an instrument that can be used in a variety of ways, especially as a band ensemble instrument.
Hmm.
People will hire guitar to be create an atmospheric or kind of a textural. We can add effects and get have all these sonic possibilities. I wasn't inspired by that. I was inspired by just plug the guitar in the amp and play, no effects, just
Hmm.
straight up guitar. So for that, I'm talking about coming from like Charlie Christian and Eddie Durham, and then going through that lineage of Barney Kessel and of course Django. But then all the folks that just played clean sound guitar, and then you get to Kenny Burrell and Wes Montgomery, George Benson. So when I was coming up, um, it was before I got interested in jazz guitar, before fusion actually took hold
Right.
for real, for real. So I was trying to find like, okay, who anyway, I wound up with George Benson. I wound up on George Benson because I was looking for, I was attracted to the music via the new stuff that was happening at the time, which was kind of the beginnings of fusion and smooth jazz, like the
Hmm.
stuff from CTI Records, and the hits by Herbie Hancock and Grover Washington Jr. I was looking for that because that
Right.
had a backbeat. It was funky. It was modern. So when I went to the record store to ask, who does somebody do that on the guitar, the guy gave me a George Benson record. And
Okay.
when I heard that, it was like, okay, this is it. I didn't know you could play this instrument like that. And if that's the way, if you can do that, then that's what I want to aspire to do, something like that. And I
Right.
always heard my sound like aligned with that. And I dabbled with playing with effects and doing, I had to eat. and do gigs, and so that was called for a lot of the time at that time, talking about the, late 70s into the 80s when I got on the scene. But even though I dabbled in that stuff and did it for different employers, I always aspired to just like develop my sound in that clean tone, with the clean tone and that kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the background. The heroes at the time that I was looking for them in the 70s was George Benson, Pat Martino. Those were the
Mhm.
top tier guys. So those were the ones.
I could hear that now that you mention it, because your sound is just it's very organic, it's simple,
Right.
it's sweet and mellow,
Yeah.
and and it's no, like, for lack of a better word, no frills. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
but it's warm, it's really warm and funky. You got this funky thing that just, I mean, our audience will hear once we play the music, but in everything you do, you got this funk. I was going through YouTube,
Mhm.
checking out some repertoire for a gig,
Mhm.
and Ugetsu was one of the songs I was researching. I did a tour in Ireland this summer, and at one of the performances, right on stage, they called Ugetsu. Like, right, we walk. It was like, okay, we're gonna play Ugetsu, and I forgot about that song. That's one of
Yeah.
those hip songs that
Yeah.
you just forget about. It's not considered a standard, but like all the cats play it.
Mhm.
I was going through YouTube checking it out, and I came across your organ trio arrangement of it, man, bro. And I put it on repeat, man. I could not stop listening.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's so different than all the other versions. It's like it's a pocket, but it just swings through this
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope he pulls up Ugetsu. So, but the audience needs to. You guys got to go check out Bobby Broom Ugetsu with his band, man. It's
Yeah.
really, that's like you. I mean, you have your originals, but when I heard that, I was like, only Broom could take a hard hitting, bop song like that and just
Yeah.
put his whole vibe
Been
on
known to mix things up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I grew up with Motown.
it. Yeah,
So Motown, and then, Sly and the Family Stone, and then we get into funk. And
Mhm.
so, that was my music coming up. So that was a huge influence, along with just pop, like just
Right.
straight up pop radio,
Yeah.
from the 70s. Yeah.
But it tells a lot about who you, and again, it goes back to your sound. It's a undeniable sound, man. And
I appreciate
your students, man, let's talk about this real quick. Your students should be really, I'm sure they're grateful for what you bring to them, because having that, background or repertoire to just bring to them, man. So as an educator, how do you feel about, the work you're doing with your kids? Because different teachers have different approaches, but you're steep in the tradition, so I'm sure you share that with them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so this is my 6th year at Northern Illinois University, which is about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Chicago, out in the cornfields. And we're out there, yeah, steeped in the tradition. We've got a history of that at that university in the jazz program. People like Marquise Hill came through there, Christopher McBride, what am I thinking about? Greg Ward.
Mhm.
These are great musicians on the scene now. I'm just happy to be able to share my experience and my viewpoint with students that are really there for that. I've had students come to me in particular just because of that, because
Right.
they know what they're trying, what they want,
Mhm.
and then they see, oh, it's right there, it is, let me go there and get it,
Right.
firsthand, right? And so that just in and of itself is pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm just so happy to share that and to, help continue that legacy. Really, that's what it is.
Great, man. And how many days do you teach out there?
I'm there. Well, depending on the semester. So, like
Okay.
in the fall semesters, I teach 3 days a week because I've got one class and then my students. And then in the spring semesters, I teach a couple of classes and students. So I'm there 4 days a week. Yeah.
Okay. That's the only institution you're teaching at?
Yeah, as far as higher ed, yeah, because I'm tenured there. So, I can't be going anywhere else doing it. But I do work with a high school program that I've been with for 25 years through Ravinia. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
and yeah, so they have a community outreach program called the Jazz Mentor Program. And they
Hmm.
get a bunch of us professionals, and we work with public school students and develop them. In fact, Marquise Hill came through that program.
Mm.
So, we get to kind of influence and shape students that really want to learn about the music.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Ravinia is a great venue, concert hall and venue as well for that.
yeah. It's like it was founded as like a summer home for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra
Mhm.
out on the North Shore. Beautiful grounds and a amphitheater type venue and some theaters on the grounds. And yeah, they're doing a lot of great things in music in general.
Great. So it's good that you're at the at the university and at Ravinia, and then I'm sure you have a number of private students as well too.
Well, I used to have more. I have less now because my time doesn't allow,
Okay.
So I focus on my college students. I try to keep some high school, through Ravinia, I'm working with high school students. I may keep a couple of high school students doing private lessons, with the hopes that maybe they want to continue with me,
Mhm.
in college. But I don't do much private teaching other than that because I just don't have the time.
It's funny how the older you get, time just seems to not be on your side, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm still trying to perform and play and
Right.
record, so
Right.
I got to save some time for that. Right.
Yeah, it's important to do that, and I wanted to jump into that. So, you're doing a great job as an educator, of course, but performing, man, you've had some amazing gigs out here, and I remember checking you out one time with the great Sonny Rollins, and that was, eye opener for me. I was like, wow, it was a great band, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But you played with so many amazing musicians. I know one of your dream gigs was Charles Earland.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was wild because, that was the first Charles Earland Black Talk was a record he did in 1970. And it had More Today Than Yesterday and The Age of Aquarius, and then a bunch of original tunes. And I just happened on this record. My dad brought it home. He had bought a bunch of records from the barber shop. He was at the barber shop. Dude was selling records. He bought a stack of records home. And I'm going through these records and I see this one. And I said, oh, that's a cool cover. Turn it over. I see these songs. And I'm like, oh, I know this song from the radio. I know these songs from radio. I'm like, what is this? So I go in my room and put it on, and it's this jazz organ that
Right.
I never heard anything like that before. But I could recognize the songs and the groove was so strong. Man, I fell in love with that thing. I played that record every day, nonstop. And I'm 10 years old. I was 10. So man, that record meant the world to me. I didn't even care about jazz. I wasn't even playing the guitar yet.
Right.
So through the years, as I started to play and then started to learn about jazz, and then I would always go back to this record just for my own personal enjoyment. Well, fast forward about 10 years, I'm in Chicago now doing my thing. And I hear one day, Charles Earland is moving to Chicago. I said, what? And he's putting a band together. He's been in a hiatus for a number of years because his wife at the time had passed. So
Mhm.
he went dormant, but somebody convinced him, hey, you need to move to Chicago. I'll help get you back out there. I'll get you working. So he did.
Mhm.
I found out where this audition was and went. We played, and that was it. We wound up recording 2 records together. I was on the road with him. And it was like a dream come true because, I felt when I heard Charles Earland just moved to town, he's putting a band together, I knew that was my gig. Just spiritually, I said, there's too much in my life that coincides with this. for this not to be meaningful for me.
Right.
I was like, and it was.
And it's been building from like 10 years old.
Yeah.
For the first time you played the record, not knowing where it would take you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it was like the most beautiful thing in the world. I remember my mom was still alive and she had come to visit me. And I had a gig with Charles, and she came to the gig, and Charles met her and said, your son is my favorite guitar player. And I was like, oh man, that was like, oh, I could have quit right there.
The mighty burner, man. But Charles had a lot of influence on folks, man. And even in the New York scene, Showmans, Showmans.
Yeah.
Spot and the American Legion, and all of those cats that came through there. And then even uptown, what was the spot that we all used to go to? I can't remember. I used to play there Monday night.
Not St. Nick's Pub.
St. Nick's Pub. I used to play there every Friday night with Bill Saxton and Bobby Forrester.
Okay. Yeah.
8 years. I did that for 8 years. Yeah. So that organ thing was a special thing at that time. And it's kind of like, is pushed in the background. It hasn't disappeared because there's a lot of cats out there still doing it. Yeah. But those clubs are not that prominent anymore.
Right. That was an interesting, like a kind of unique time, because it seems back then, all the bars, just like neighborhood lounges, they had a jukebox
and an organ, and
a lot of times they had an organ.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but folks had a place, they had places to go and play. And that was just a phenomenon. And all the urban, in the neighborhoods in every major city, it was like that. Back in the 60s and 70s.
And it's from a drumming standpoint, it's completely different playing with an organist as it is playing with an upright bass player.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's organ is kind of like a fluff sound. It's like it comes at you.
Yeah.
And the bass, like you can your ride cymbal in with the bass, and it's like it's a different. Yeah, man. It took me a minute to figure that out. And Bobby Forrester was so gracious, man. He would just say, "You're getting closer. You're getting closer." Like, trying to figure out, how to lay in that groove, because how to lay in that groove a special way, man.
Yeah.
But it's sound, man. That sound. And growing up in the Caribbean, the first time I heard organs was in the calypso and reggae bands. Like Bob Marley had an organist in his band. If you go and check that out, it was a prominent.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking back about. Yeah, and hearing that music, yes.
It was very prominent back in the 70s. Like,
yes,
yeah, because remember now, we didn't have the electronic keyboards like we do now. So you had the organ.
Yeah, right. That was right. It was embedded in a lot of pop music from the mid 60s or so. Yeah, there was a lot of organ in there.
A lot of organ. So when I hear organ, I hear Broom. That's the connection. That's your sound. That's part of it. That whole warmth and.
Well, there's a lineage that involves the jazz guitar, that includes the organ. So that's like historic in the music, in jazz music. You have these, Jimmy Smith and either Wes Montgomery or Kenny Burrell, and just these pairings of people, Grant Green and Larry Young, Pat Martino and Don Patterson, Wes Montgomery and Mel Rhine, and it continues on into present day.
Dr. Lonnie Smith and Lou Donaldson.
Yeah, right. Dr. Lonnie Smith and Peter Bernstein and
sorry, I said Lou Donaldson. I meant Peter Bernstein.
Larry Golden. Yeah, it just keeps going. It's like part of the history,
all of that. That's amazing how that. But that sound is like just so compatible.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you carry that. You took it a step further and connected. Especially with the funk and the groove, and that's man. What I like about. Listening to your music, it always puts a smile on your face.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's the purpose. I grew up loving music, And then I became a musician. And then I was trying to learn about music and listening to music for different reasons other than enjoyment. And then after decades of that, I went back to, I'm just doing this because I love it. I'm playing because I love it. I'm teaching because I love it. Not for scientific reasons or for any reasons other than love, you know. So yeah, it's good to be back.
It's not about the hype. It's not about the hype. It's just straight up love.
Yeah.
You have a tune called "No Hype Blues."
Yeah. Right. Good segue.
You know, when I first met you, that was like, and we played together. That was like one of the first songs we ever played. And
oh wow!
Okay. I met you, I used to play with Ron. No Hype Blues. What's the story behind that?
You know, that song. I wrote that song so long ago now. Like probably in the 90s. So from the title, I can imagine what I was thinking, you know, because it's been an interesting journey for me through this business. I'll just say it like that. Although, you know, I have all these accolades and, you know, you played with this person and that person. Yeah. And I also have a lot of other life, you know, many more days in my life where those things weren't happening. So, you know, this was probably a period where I was in Chicago. I was probably feeling a little miffed because of some reason or another. And I wrote this blues and called it No Hype Blues. Like, y'all need to pay a little bit more attention to me.
Self-reflection, huh?
Yeah, something like that. You know, but yeah, I'm glad we're still playing that song so many years later. That at least we are. And it's funny, probably sometime in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, a guy I grew up with, we grew up in the same building and we've known each other since we were 7 years old. We're still friends. He called me up one day and he says, "Man, I went to Augie's." This is before it was smoke. Went to Augie's and I saw this saxophone player, and man, he was playing one of your songs. I'm like, what? Get out of here, man. Nobody know my songs. He says, no, man, he was playing this song called No Hype Blues. I said, for real? It was Rob Dixon.
Rob Dixon.
You know Rob Dixon from Indianapolis? Yeah. No
Hype Blues. Man,
this was before I knew Rob.
That tune stuck with me for I mean, it's like, even when you sent it in, I was like, No Hype Blues. I just thought, yeah. It just sticks with you. It got that like melody.
Yeah, you got the right key too. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, man.
But Rob Dixon, I knew Rob because Rob was a tenor player, and then he did a lot of stuff with Derek Gardner. So
right.
That, you know, trumpet sax thing, and then we used to play Monday nights at Showman's organ trio.
Oh wow! When he was in New York,
he was in New York, yeah. And Derek was getting his master's from Rutgers. I had just finished, I just left Rutgers. So when I was in town, I lived down the street. So I used to play Showman's. I was like a couple blocks, like 6 blocks away.
Yeah, so this must have been around that time.
Yeah. So we were playing all those tunes, man, and it's a lot of fun, man. So see, you never know who's.
You sure don't.
There's actually some hype in the hype.
Yeah, if you give it enough time.
So that's one of your compositions that you shared with us, man. Let's check it out now. No Hype Blues by Bobby Broom.
Cool. Wrong.
Come on.
No Hype Blues.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What key is that in?
That's B flat.
B flat. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Among others. Yeah, I know.
You ain't right, you know. You ain't right at all.
I thought that before we came back on. I said, boy, you you just don't care. You said the people will have to figure that out.
Exactly. That's
or
why
just deal with it.
I was like, okay, I'm hearing this, but damn, like,
And then I thought,
only
why
Broom.
doesn't that bother me?
It fits. It works. Yeah, why not?
Hey, who knows?
Hey, you gotta have fun, man.
Hey, man. Yeah. He said, "What key is that in?"
I just wanted to hear what you were gonna say.
Not that one.
All right. So that's on Ron's Mistaken Identity.
Right. I was so happy to be able to do that, to get back together with him and just play. I mean, I don't know that we've ever really done it like that. And I have so much admiration for him and his career and what he's done. Both of you guys came, I remember when I would go to New York and visit and go uptown and hang with you guys, when was that? Mid-90s?
94, 95.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So I remember all of that, man. And so it was a long time coming. I was glad he asked me to do it. And I think it turned out beautifully. I love listening to it.
Who's the personnel on that?
So that's Nat Reeves on the bass,
Yeah.
and then my man Kobe Watkins on the drums. I met Kobe in Chicago, and I guess he was about 25 years old. It was a minute ago, maybe 25 years ago, and super talented then, and we've been playing together ever since. So yeah, that's the personnel.
That's a great.
Ruben's on 2 or 3 tunes on it and playing beautifully. Yeah,
nice. That's great, man. That's a great recording. Again, it's it's one of my favorite tunes of yours, and I've enjoyed it. So
thank you.
I was smiling. That's why I actually, what key is that in?
I love that. Not that one.
Oh man, you gotta have fun, man. That's all I can say. Have fun. So let's continue, man. You like the blues is your thing, with the funkiness and all of that. Just putting it all together. You shared with us another tune that I think is really there too. It's called Soulful Bill. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, so that speaks to my time in association with James Williams, who was a great pianist, very influential pianist to guys like Mulgrew and Donald Brown, and comes from that great lineage in that region. Phineas Newborn, the Newborns, and there's just a letting. I remember I did a gig. Was it not? I can't remember if it was Knoxville or Nashville, but somewhere in that region. And a guy came up to me. I think it was before the night had even really started, and he had paper. He handed me this this list of all the musicians from the Memphis area, and the list was like pages. And I'm like, who is this guy? But dang, look at this list. Like, this is really impressive. There's a lot of folks. Yeah. So anyway, I met James when I was in school in Boston at Berkeley. We may have played one time. He was a professor there. and we did a recital or some kind of gig. And then the following year, he walked out of McKell's. You remember McKell's on 97th Street? Yeah. He walked out. So that's where I grew up, was on 95th in Columbus, 2 blocks away. And I just happened over there, looked out my window. I said, man, something's happening down there. Let me go see. And it was Art Blake and the Jazz Messengers. Out walks James Williams. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, yeah, hey, man, how you doing? It's like, you got your guitar? I said, no, but I can. He's like, go get it. So I ran, came back, walked in the club, sat down. Somebody was calling me up on the bandstand. I'm like, okay. I go up there, and that was it. That's how I started. I was asked to join the Messengers from that experience with James. And then James and I were in touch, and he would call me. We did some, Midwest gigs. And, I just always had a fondness for him and that tune in particular.
Yeah, he was amazing piano. Him, Mogu Miller, all those cats, man.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the whole lineage coming out of Memphis, that.
Yes.
So this is for him. So full bill. Thanks for sharing.
This is his composition, and I wanted to try to do it justice.
Okay, well, let's check it out. So full bill. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, that makes me smile. I forgot there was a music video when it first started. I was like, oh.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, look at there.
Yeah, yeah, the Soulful Bill. Yeah, he'll be missed. He will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for doing that tribute to him, man. That's definitely needed and appreciated.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. That's Bobby Broom, Soulful Bill, tribute to the one and only James Williams. So you shared another song with us from your Soul Fingers recording. This is Eyes of Faith.
Right, right. So this was a song I wrote in the early 90s for my daughter, who was then a little girl. And her middle name is Faith. And I wrote this song. You know, sometimes these songs, I feel like I don't necessarily, I mean, I know I wrote it, like I remember the day and, you know, going through but sometimes when I hear the music, it's like, man, you know, that I don't know. It's an otherworldly kind of experience for me. The good songs, composition, the good compositions come through. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I work on, you know, I'm sure I flesh things out and work on them, but I don't remember that, you know. Yeah, when I'm listening, I just hear the music and say, like, what? It's like,
you get inspired different ways and you hear things like, did I write that? But let's check this out, your original for your daughter, Eyes of Faith.
Yeah.
Eyes of Faith. Yeah, man. So she smiles every time she has that song.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I'm just sitting back enjoying it. It's just organ, man. That's again, it's such a beautiful, warm, embracing sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect for the guitar.
Yeah, yeah. And it took me a minute to just check out the name because I was looking at like organization. Organ. It took me a minute. I was looking at it. I'm like, organization. I'm like, organization. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Period. That's basically it.
Yeah. I have to say like 3 times before, because I'm like,
I don't know
what's
why I felt the need to confuse things, but
yeah.
just
No,
having fun.
it's very unique. Actually, again, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing organ, and I'm like, organ.
Yeah.
Broom, Bobby Broom, only you.
Oh, just having fun.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why not?
Yeah. Gotta do it.
The music speaks for itself. The stuff that you've done over the years, all the contributions you've made to the industry speaks for itself, and it says why you're who you are, and out here doing your thing, man. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the show because I know how extremely busy you are, and it's been a learning experience for me. I enjoyed hosting Sounds of the Diaspora because all you guys come on and you just share, even if it's a one little thing that I didn't know, that
Yeah.
makes it all. So the No
Thank
Hype
you.
Blues, you're welcome. You're welcome. The No Hype Blues, again, one of my favorite. Soulful Bill. I didn't know that connection with James at all. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, so thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. And then Eyes of Faith with organization.
Right. Right. That's right. Yeah.
But you gotta put out Ugetsu. I know it's not your tune, but that's
Right. 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 Yeah.
great.
I'll think about that. Right. I haven't recorded that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
great arrangement, man. So
Yeah.
do that.
Thanks,
So
man. All right.
let's wind up. We're gonna close out with another song that you shared with us from your Modern Man recording, Dance for Osiris.
Osiris. Yeah. Yeah. That one I remember composing. I remember like really working on that one.
Mhm.
And I had the opportunity at that time, so it was 2000 or so. There was a label here in Chicago based out of here, Delmark Records.
Mhm.
They've been in existence for probably 50 years, if not more. And they do a lot of jazz, a lot of blues. They got a big blues catalog, big jazz catalog. So I had the opportunity to record with them, and took Ronnie Cuber, the great baritone saxophonist, up on an offer. He was always saying, I've known him since I was probably 20 years old,
Mhm.
from New York. He hired me when I was 20 to play in his band. And he is the one that recommended me for the gig with Dr. John, which I had for 6 years
Mhm.
up until 2000. So from the early 90s, 94. So he used to say, man, especially when we were on the road, and we got to do a cookbook record because Ronnie is on the George Benson cookbook, which is George's among like his first two recordings from the early 60s. I want to say, I'm not 100% sure of the dates, but he was on those records. So I mean, I had this admiration for him. But then for him to say that to me, I thought he was like, I'm like, man, don't say that, man. That's blasphemous. How you gonna say I can't do no cookbook record, man? Stop, So I thought he was messing with me, and he'd say it once every year or so. So when I got this opportunity, I called him up. I said, "Man, were you serious about doing doing a record with Dr. Lonnie?" Because he's like, "We got to get Dr. Lonnie Smith."
Mhm.
Was the other member of that George Benson group.
Mhm.
So he said, "Yeah, man, I was dead serious." I said, "Okay, so I got this opportunity. Maybe we can make this happen." So that's how that record materialized. But I wanted some material, some of my own compositions on there, and I think that was the first one. I'm surprised we didn't play No Hype Blues on that record. That's funny. But I wanted to write something for, for Lonnie and Ronnie and the whole thing. So I sat down and worked out this tune, which I never play, and I want to start playing it. When I hear it, I go, man, I need to play that in one of the groups or both.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fun tune. It's a fun
Yeah.
tune. Yeah.
Dance for Osiris. Let's check it out.
All right. All right.
Yeah, that's a keeper.
Yeah, those guys play so great on that.
Yeah, Idris, man, that's you know.
And here's the other part. Idris was on Black Talk.
Ah,
So I had my whole like arrival moment. I got two of the members of George Benson Cookbook Record and one from Black Talk. I was in heaven.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. It's and it's swinging. It's man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard Idris one time in Europe, in the Netherlands. He did a solo drum concert by himself.
Oh, man.
He played like an hour.
Wow.
Like 15 minutes by himself, bro.
Wow.
And I couldn't. I mean, and he just grooved the whole time, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't about chops. It was about feeling.
Yes. That's such a beautiful sound, and the feeling.
Yeah. Well, you definitely captured it on Dance for Osiris. Congratulations on a well put together project, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Bobby, our time is up, man.
Man. I appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure having you on Sounds of the Diaspora, bro. You've brought so much music and information. You shared your story with us and our audience, and we really appreciate that. We really
thank you
enough, man.
All right.
For joining us.
Glad to do it.
Yeah. We definitely wish you all the best. Success to you and on all of your endeavors, everything you do, and keep us posted. Let our audience know before we leave where they can, how they can follow you, what a website.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm on, primarily at bobbybroom.com, and then all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Thread, Facebook. Yeah. If you just put my name in, you'll find me. I'm easy to find. Yeah. You get the music directly from Bandcamp. That's the easiest way. Just go to bandcamp.com/Bobby Broom probably, or Bobby Broom/Bandcamp. You'll find it. It ain't hard.
Good. It ain't hard. No high blues.
Yeah. Straight ahead. Yeah.
Bobby Broom, man. Thanks again, man.
Dion, all the best. Hope to see you soon and play. Hope you get to play soon.
Yes, sir. Definitely, man.
Right.
You guys have a great gig at the showcase.
Thank you. All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye. That was the one and only Bobby Broom sharing his story and music with us here at Sounds of the Diaspora. Go check him out, man. Check out bobbybroom.com. He's on Instagram, like he said, Facebook, all that good stuff. Please support him. Amazing, talented, gifted, and wonderful musician. So It's a pleasure having him. Join us next week as we bring to you another wonderful guest, Sounds of the Diaspora. And we will look forward to having you join us next week. All the best to you guys. Take care and see you soon.